Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go-to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Hi, and welcome to The Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is the brilliant CEO of Aurora Corialis Publishing. With 20 years of experience as a publishing writer and editor, she helps leaders share their transformational stories through powerful books that build your legacy and your brand. She is a multi-award-winning author of 11 books. She's dedicated to making writing accessible and impactful. Help me welcome the queen of storytelling magic, Cori Wamsley. Thank you. How are you doing? Did I say your name right?
You did.
Good.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Thank you. You're fabulous. I cannot wait to tell us exactly what you do, because I think you take people like me and you help me actually probably get out of my head and write my book.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I work with a lot of speakers and coaches who have a story that they want to share in a book and use that as a piece of their business. So I help them get that story on paper so they can publish it and make a bigger impact with their audience.
That is something that is so needed, because all of us need a book for marketing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And what brought you into this business? I mean, did you start off as a writer, or did you start off as something else? And something had to flip to get you to start the business you have exactly right now.
Yeah, well, I've always loved books. I grew up reading. I started writing short stories and poetry when I was in middle school. So I've always enjoyed the writing aspect. I majored in English and then worked on a master's. I actually had 2 different jobs with the government as a technical writer. Those were my first piece of my career. So I was actually writing pieces that, some of them would be online and they would be connecting with the public, and some of them would be going to headquarters and just connecting, between agencies. But everything that I was doing eventually led into the storytelling element. At my job when I worked at the Department of Energy, I was working with a lot of scientists and helping tell their stories and making them, as we were told, into real people, because it's like beyond the lab coat sort of thing. When you picture a scientist, you're picturing somebody in a lab who's got their coat on and their goggles and they're just doing science, right? And you don't picture what are they doing beyond the lab? What are their passions? And I got to tell these beautiful stories of people who were, we had somebody who was an amateur snowboarding champion. And then we had another woman who she used to help walk horses at a therapy place in the area. So all these beautiful stories of them being real people and, just like your neighbors, just like the other people So it was something that kind of brought, here we are, this government agency, but we're actually people. And I loved that aspect of it. So when funny story, funny, not funny. It wasn't funny then. They laid off half the PR department about 9 years ago, actually almost exactly 9 years ago. It was on my daughter's first birthday, and that was January 6th. So almost 9 years ago, they laid off half the PR department, and I had to kind of figure out what I was doing. I had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old at home. And I had no plan to do anything else because I wasn't even sleeping through the night. So when I left there, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. And I started out just doing some freelancing, writing web copy and press releases and things like that. But by that point in my career, I had also written 5 novels. So whenever I would go to a networking event, I would tell people, this is what I like to do. Do you need something written? And they're like, no. How do you write a book? Tell me how to do that, because I need to do one for my business. I had no idea there was even a call for that. So from that point, I started morphing my business into more of the book coaching and the book editing aspect. And then almost 4 years ago now, I started the publishing house because there's just so much that people need to do. They don't know how to get an ISBN and how to upload their book and how to make sure that it doesn't look wonky and the pages are all correct. So we have the entire book creation piece on our end. Basically, you could come to me and say, I need to write a book. And I say, I got you. I help you through the whole process. We do ghostwriting and coaching. And then we also work with people who've written their books on their own and help them get it out into the world.
Okay. So you're definitely the storytelling book magic queen. Make it happen for us. Yeah, because I mean, that is something that people really want. They really need that. And with today's world, they have that flexibility to write and self-publish.
Mm-hmm.
Do most of your people self-publish, or are you publishing for them, or how's that working?
Well, we're a publishing house, so we do publish for them. We have a few clients, like I actually worked with 3 retirees this fall who just wanted to get a book out there. They're not coaches and speakers, but we provided services so we could do the editing, the layout, and then I helped them publish on their own. So they're in charge of their books because they aren't somebody who needs like the marketing and the PR like we handle around the launch. So, a little bit of both, but most of the people we work with are people who we end up publishing.
Your publishing house is actually handling the marketing and also the PR.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. Because most people who teach that are actually even a publishing company. They say they're a publishing company, don't do that aspect. That just makes the world of difference too.
Yeah. We do that surrounding the launch, and that gives people that extra boost. So I teach them how to do like the Amazon bestseller campaign, and I walk with them through that. And then we also have the marketing expert and the PR expert who work with them. It's like a 2 to 3 month period around the launch. And then I tell people, if you want to continue working with our PR expert, go ahead and do that. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that people just don't know about putting a book out. They think they can just, hit publish and, oh yeah, my book's out there and now I'm magically famous. And it's not how it works.
It does not. There's a lot of promo and a lot of things in the back end that have to happen.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely. So you mentioned you have a child. So do you have 1, 2? How many children do you have?
Oh, I have 2. They are, my youngest is almost 10, and then my older one is 12. She just turned 12 in November.
Oh, how cute. Oh, they got to be fun right now.
They are. I have learned so much Gen Alpha slang. I could probably write a book about it.
Okay, so I don't have any children around me right now, so I could learn from you as well, and that would be a fun book probably. So how do you balance your work life, career, family, and everything else? 'Cause that's hard for most female entrepreneurs to do.
Yeah. So there's a lot to do with the business. And then, of course, having a family is a lot too. We're at a point now where both of my kids are in school, which funny story about that. We were thinking, okay, things are going to get easy once they're both in school. And then my oldest was in first grade when the pandemic hit. So now nobody's in school. So it took us a little bit longer to get that, rolling. But once they were both in school, they were in like 2nd and 4th grade at that point. And I started having an actual schedule. So during the school year, I can be at my desk. Once I get them out the door, I work out and shower and get to my desk. But I usually have shorter hours. So I'm at my desk, 5 or 6 hours. But then in the evening, sometimes they're doing homework and I get out my laptop and I'm like handling a layout or something because I'm trying to be flexible and also be there for my family. During the summers, we had a local babysitter come in. So we had like a high school girl who would come and play with the girls a few hours a week. And I would come in here and have that dedicated time. I do work a lot of hours, but sometimes it's like, okay, here's my time. They're at school. I can get a lot of stuff done. And other times it's like, all right, they're in dance class and I have my laptop out and I'm working. So there is some balance and then there's also some chaos. And I think that it's important to recognize that when you have a family, sometimes it's just going to be how it is. And you have to prioritize. You have to say, all right, I really want to volunteer for the book fair, so I'm going to block that day off. And no, I can't, have a call that day. I already have this. This is important to me. Or, hey, I have all this stuff going on. I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to schedule the book fair. I won't be able to do that because I need to work with my clients. And you're going to be disappointed in some area at some point. But I think that from my kids' perspective, they're not upset with me when I have to do that. They get, like, I have work. This is how we pay for our stuff. This is what mommy needs to do. These are her priorities. And I am always a priority too. So like in the evenings, I always make sure that I do greet the kids at the door when they come home, unless I'm on a call. They walk in the door, I get up and I'm like, hey, how was your day? Do you want to talk for a minute? Usually it's a no anymore because they're tweens. They go off upstairs, they have their break time, but I sit down and help with the homework because I know like that's important. So I think flexibility and just making sure that you can prioritize certain things is important.
Right. And that is one reason we are female entrepreneurs. It's actually because of the fact that it gives us that time flexibility to be able to manage our family and business.
Yeah.
And, we've been calling it the dance on the show lately about it's just a total dance you have to do. You have to be able to slide to one side, slide to the other, groove and move a little bit here and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. What advice do you give to those female entrepreneurs that are women who are thinking about, I'm going to start a business? What is your advice to them?
So no matter whether you're a mom or not, I think it's important to be clear on what your goals are, who you want to work with, what you want to accomplish, and understand that the best laid plans are not always going to work out. So you might think, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to be brilliant and I'm going to be at this point in 2 years. And sometimes there are bends and twists. It is a dance, no matter who you are, at what point in your life, whatever. I mentioned that when I started out, I thought I was just going to be doing some freelancing, like kind of filling the gaps, working when my kids were napping. And people said, hey, I need to know how to write a book. So I ended up twisting around and going, okay, well, how can I make this work? Because this is something I love. I mean, I get to read books for a living. So what could be better than that? And I think that too often we get caught in this is what my plan was and I have to stick with this plan, instead of saying, you know what, this plan isn't working. So I think it's important to pause and have that kind of assessment time. I had a mentor tell me years ago that she always takes Monday and Friday to work in her business, like handling any website updates, assessing whether what she's doing is working, handling her marketing, talking to her VA, those sort of things. And I have kept with that for the most part, unless I need to like schedule a podcast or if a client doesn't have a babysitter. I've done that before too, but I try to keep with that. Monday and Friday are my days to figure things out on the back end. Because you can't just constantly be serving people and be like, sure, this is going to work. It's going to work. Why isn't it working? Well, I don't have time to figure it out. You have to have time to figure it out. I think that's important. And then also trusting your gut. So if you keep going to a networking event and you just hate it, then you need to figure out why you hate it and decide if you want to keep going to that, because clearly it's not working. Or if you're running a program and you're serving this subset of your audience with this program and you just feel icky when you do it, you need to figure out why. So definitely trust your gut and use that as, kind of your rudder for where you're going on the course.
Great answer. Great way to help them, like, just learn how to just keep moving forward. I mean, so I have had multiple versions of helping female entrepreneurs, and this is the one that is my jam. I mean, literally, I love it. I love doing this. I love writing the articles. I just have fun.
Yeah.
I mean, do I have to I actually don't I designed the book, but I don't literally like, I'm at the printer printing the book. So the magazine, but yeah, that is outsourced. I mean, we have to outsource things. And that's another
Yeah.
thing I think that they have to understand, that we can be all end all, but we have to learn how to delegate and outsource. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I had to figure out too. When I was kind of transitioning between having uh, the different services and actually having the publishing house, I had to step back and say, I can't do this all on my own. Because before I was doing the editing and the layout, and then I was walking them through how to do their publishing and everything. And now I have 3 editors I work with, and sometimes I step in and do some small things like, if we have a group book and there's one person who's running really behind on getting her chapter in, I'll pass all the other chapters to our editor and I'll say, when hers comes in, I'll just handle that on my own. Things like that allow me to serve more people. They also allow me to not get completely burnt out. And I mean, I'm a slow reader, so I don't want to be the bottleneck when I'm editing something and sitting here. I'm like, okay, well, I've got 3 other books coming in. Well, I guess I don't get to, have my evenings anymore. Like, I don't want to burn out. So having that delegation is so important.
Thank you. Because I have trouble with that. So I know that that's like a regular thing that, and that we're in charge of our business. So
Mhm.
we do have a tendency to take on all the responsibility and think that everything has to happen by us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, especially those who feel like they want things to be perfect, feel like they have to have their hand in every little thing. And what we really need to do is learn how to trust, not only trust, hey, this person can handle this, but also trust ourselves in picking that person. I think it goes both ways, because there are times when we're sitting here like, oh no, I picked these editors. Is it going to get? Yes, it's going to get done. I've seen their work before. It's all going to be great. We talked. We have a schedule. I think communication is important too. But we have to trust ourselves. Hey, I picked these people. I've seen their work and I know they do a good job, and they're going to get stuff to me on time. We're not going to run off of our timeline because they decided to go on vacation and not tell me.
So, okay, so I'm going to tell you something that happened. I had someone come to me and say, Angel, they were reading a book and they were in a program and they're like, can you give me my number one ability that I have? And I said, yeah. She's an intuitive collaborator. So it's exactly what you just said. She can actually trust her gut, know that's the right person for the job, and collaborate with them to get the job done.
Yeah. I think that's important.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because that just meshes right into that. All right. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself in business if you had to go back to your 18-year-old self?
Well, there's a lot of stuff I would tell my 18-year-old self. One of those things would be, instead of getting a biology degree, which I loved biology, I would switch that over to business. So I actually had a little bit of background and didn't have to, as they say, build the plane as you're flying it. I think having some sort of background, some sort of planning would have been very helpful. And that's advice to anybody out there who's thinking about a business. If you can do stuff on the back end before you dive all the way in, that's really helpful. I think I would talk to her about trusting her gut, because she listened to everybody except herself. All the time. Everybody had an opinion. Everybody was pressing that opinion on her. And they're adults. Of course, they know better than I do. So I think that's where a lot of my slamming into walls came from in my 20s.
That is so true. Everybody's got an opinion and they'll all tell you how to do it 20 different ways. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. How are you planning? It's the new year. So how did you plan for the new year? Do you have tools that you use to plan for the new year's? Like,
I don't do anything specifically like, hey, the new year's coming, I have to do this stuff. I have rolling enrollment in my coaching programs. I am always looking to fill all the different spots. I try to do about 2 books per month that we're publishing. So I just plan out, like right now we have 10 books planned so far this year. We're planning into summer, and I actually have, I think, 2 that will hit in September. So I just constantly am planning ahead. I have a chart. You can't see it. There's a marker board over here, and it's got a list of my clients and when their books are coming out. And, I know if they are coming in with a book that's completed or coming in as a coaching client. So I can figure everything out. I think it is definitely important to plan. Definitely think about when like the hot time of year is for you. Like usually my summers are really dead for client acquisition. I guess everybody's busy. Nobody's thinking about their book. And then all of a sudden in the fall, everybody goes, oh, I have to get this done. I have to start on stuff. So I know that if I want to start a program, I'm not going to start it in July. I'm going to say, hey, we've got this thing coming in September. So just knowing things like that, I think is important to be able to plan for the year.
So what is one key strategy that maybe has helped you in your business grow it that maybe some people told you no, they gave that opinion and said, no, that's not going to work?
Funny enough, I'm constantly being nudged to go to networking events, and I find that it is often a waste of my time other than just connecting with lovely people. Most of my clients are people who are coaches and speakers, and a lot of them aren't doing networking. They're online connecting with people. So going to things in person just hasn't been as fruitful as it could be. I've met wonderful people and I'm friends with a lot of them, but that's been kind of a funny thing. Oh, why aren't you networking? Dude, I'm busy. I've got stuff to do. I'm connecting with people online. Like I have clients all over the country, so they're not coming to Pittsburgh and going to a local luncheon.
I get it. Mine are like all over the world, and I'm like, they're not coming. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Can you share any future plans you have for this year that we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, I've written 11 books. My 11th book comes out in March. And I write fiction. So actually I'll show you my first 2. I have them here. These are books 9 and 10, and they are the first 2 in my Soul Sisterhood series. And they are all best friend stories with a side of sweet romance. So I have my 3rd one, Good in Theory, coming out in March. And this is about a quirky female scientist who she loses her boyfriend, her job, and her apartment all in the same day, and ends up having to rely on a cousin she hasn't seen in 10 years to help kind of bail her out. So you get the story of all these disasters in her life, the reconnection with her cousin, and then there are some beautiful things that happen behind the scenes. She has been dreaming about this man for years, and her cousin's like, he's your soulmate, and she's like, shut up. But that actually kind of comes into her life at this point. Again, it was, she had stopped talking to the cousin 10 years ago, and then now she starts having these dreams again when she reconnects with her. And so all these beautiful things fall into place. You have to figure out what happened at the lab where she works, because there was something sinister going on behind the scenes there. So there are a lot of different storylines in this book. And yes, it has a happy ending.
Okay. So that sounds like a movie I would watch. So I'm waiting for movie things. You're going to have a production company at next time I talk to you, not just a publishing company.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about how I can connect with someone about movies for these, because they're heartwarming stories, and a lot of it is stuff that I've seen people go through, and the challenges that women have gone through, and they come to me and they're like, I want to write a book about this, and then sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Sometimes these are things that don't really fit with their business book. Sometimes it's just, I keep hearing this story a lot and I really want to write about it. So those are the things that I love writing about, is stuff that, when we're in hot water and how are we going to get out? And I think that's something that would really appeal on the big screen.
It really would. I mean, I would watch it. So
Yeah.
I'm coming to the premiere. Just tell me when and where.
I will let you know.
And is it January's issue or January's issue? We actually have a film producer and director in the magazine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, check her out. You guys would get along good. She's in California and in Los Angeles. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So what's one fact about you that many people don't know?
Oh, geez. So I don't know, I could share all kinds of stories. I went to Woodstock 99, which most people would never suspect about me. Yeah, I have all kinds of weird stories. I went there. We saw a lot of things. It was not my usual sort of thing, but my roommate and my boyfriend wanted to go, so the three of us and one of our other friends went, and we had a blast. It was an unusual experience. We slept in a tent. There was some guy dressed as Austin Powers walking by, and I mean, I could go on with stories from that. I've also I've ridden an elephant, and I have swum with a manatee and a huge sea turtle, which were really cool stories too. So I love telling stories.
I can see the book on both of those now.
Elephants actually play a big part in my book, Braving the Shore. Just the symbolism. Yeah.
Wow. So I love the fact that you teach people how to write book, which is really a nonfiction world, but most of your personal books are fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. If you had a superpower for just one day, 24 hours, what would it be?
Probably the ability to clone myself. Yeah. It would be really nice. What's that?
The movie Multiplicity, correct? Did you see that movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh yeah, but they're not as smart. They have issues as they go on.
Well, I could assign some low-end jobs, but yeah, I always feel like I have so many things I want to get done that it would be really nice to be able to clone myself and, clean up.
What about a book? What is your favorite book? I know this is going to be hard for you. What is a favorite book besides one of your own?
Oh, geez. So I actually just read several books by Jenny Bayliss. I read romances, and these were closed door. So they're all like clean. But I just finished reading A December to Remember, and it was so beautiful. She writes these stories about they're about community. They're about women who are kind of returning to small towns and kind of reconnecting with that family feeling. And these happen to be Christmas romances. So there's, snow and all the activities and stuff. But they're just so beautiful to read. When I'm reading, I'm not reading anything that's going to be, scary or, any of that kind of stuff. I read something that's going to make me laugh and something that makes me feel good. So if you're looking for books, I definitely recommend hers.
All right. It's on the list. All right. A song. What is one of your favorite go-to songs that gets you like motivated, up and moving?
I have a lot. I actually have a playlist that's called Badass Playlist, and it's just got all these motivational songs. But we recently saw Wicked, so I'll go with Defying Gravity. And I love belting that one out in the car.
Wasn't that a great movie?
Oh, it was so good. I took my oldest with me, and she loved it.
It's definitely not what anybody would expect. It blew me away because I was just thinking, okay, it's just a remake of the regular Wizard of Oz, and it wasn't. I can't wait for part 2.
Oh yeah, I was a little disappointed. I found out before the movie that this was split in half, so I was like, but my daughter's watching it, and I'm like, you don't know who the dad is, and you don't know who the Tin Man is, and like all these things. So I'm like, well, I don't want to ruin it for her, but we've got a year, so.
Yeah, so I didn't read anything pre. I just walked in. It was my mom or dad's birthday, one of them.
Okay.
And we went there with them, and my mother is a Wicked fan. A Wizard of Oz fan. Like she has a curio filled with nothing but Wizard of Oz.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. I've seen Wicked several times, so I already knew what to expect, and I've had the soundtrack for years. So my kids have heard it, but they didn't know it. So it was a really interesting thing to bring my oldest. My little one is scared of everything, and I figured she'd freak out with the flying monkeys, so I didn't bring her.
How do you stay motivated?
I love reading books, so that is usually motivation in itself. But of course, that's not all I'm doing. I'm also like I just spent time over holiday break handling royalties, adding everybody's stuff up, and all of that kind of stuff, which is one of my least favorite jobs. Um, Staying motivated with that stuff is, it's just like sometimes you have to say, all right, there are going to be a few things that I don't like, but once I get that out of the way, then I can go do the things I like again. I also have a VA who handles a lot of the things that I don't particularly care for, like refilling my social media scheduler, or she adds up the monthly royalties, just little things like that. And I think that knowing that I have a team that supports me is sometimes motivation too. Like, yeah, I'm going to keep going because I want to keep working with these people. They're really cool. I don't want things to stop because then I won't get to email Allison all the time and be like, hey, how's the book going? Tell me about this. So it's really nice having that support. And I think also if people are thinking about how they want to build their business, that's an important thing to think about. Like, what kind of support do you want to have? Do you know people who would be able to do that? Who do you want in your world? Who do you want to work with every day? That kind of stuff. So yeah, I think some of that's motivational. Also, I have my oldest is an artist. She is super talented, and I know if she's seeing me do something, completely off the wall that is a creative career, and I want her to see that because I didn't grow up seeing a lot of that. Like a woman came to my fourth grade class to speak to us, and she's an author. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Everybody else was like, oh, this movie star, oh, this athlete. And I'm like, no, she wrote a book. She's cool. I love her. And I will never forget meeting her and seeing, hey, this is something that people really do. And now it's so much more accessible that like when my oldest daughter was 5, she walked in the office and she said, I want to write a book about my monkey coming to life and granting wishes. And I said, okay. And we did it. And she knows that she can have a creative career. It's changed from that story to art, but she has her own YouTube channel now, and she wouldn't have had that if she hadn't seen I have a YouTube channel. So she gets to draw and share it with people, and they comment, this is amazing, I love this. And I love that for her. So letting them see that this is something that they can do. They don't have to, not that there's anything wrong with it if it makes you happy, but they don't have to go and work a 9 to 5 in an office. They can choose what they want to do and make their lives what they want.
I understand that, because growing up, I'm like, I'm not going to be like a regular person. I want to be a teacher, but I don't want to be a regular teacher.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, okay, whatever. And I mean, I tried 9 to 5s. It just wasn't my jam. I'm not good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. Being in an office, I didn't find that to be lighting me up.
No.
I get that.
What about a favorite quote? Do you have a favorite quote you like?
Oh my goodness. I've run across a lot of favorite quotes. There was one I saw a couple of years ago. It was the world isn't made of atoms, it's made of stories, or something like that.
Cute.
Yeah. So I thought that was cool.
That fits right into you.
Yeah.
Just because you have a science background and and you're the queen of storytelling.
Yeah.
Perfect. What is the best way for our audience to connect with you?
So I am everywhere. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. I have a Pinterest page. So you can find me on any of those platforms and connect with me there. Or if you go to my website, auroracorialispublishing.com, there's a contact form on there. So please reach out.
Awesome. Now, is there anything else you'd like to share with our female entrepreneurs that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, usually people ask me, well, how do I get started on my book? So if you are thinking about a book, I think it's important to consider first who you want to reach and what you want the goal of the book to be. I think so many people are out there saying, oh, you should write a book and you should write a book and you should write a book. You can't listen to the shoulds. You have to listen to what's inside of you and what is calling to be written. So if you have this, really amazing story where you've gone through some stuff and you've come out on the other side and you're ready to share that, think about who you want that to be aimed at, because that's going to impact how you're writing your book. Or if you've gone through it and you've come out on the other side and you don't want to write it, then don't write it. Don't feel obligated to tell that story if it's not on your heart to tell that story. I think a lot of people have come to me over the years and been like, oh, I have to write this book. I have to do this. And I'm like, well, what's motivating you to do it? And they're like, well, everybody keeps telling me. And I'm like, no. Unless you feel the motivation inside of you, you're not going to get clear through a book. Most people don't know this, but if you're writing a book, it needs to be like at least 30,000 words, not 500, not 1,000. Those are like blog post or article size, 30,000 words. The book that I just finished writing, Good in Theory, that's coming out in March, is 74,000 words. That's a lot of words. And if you don't have a lot of words behind that, that motivation, it's not going to stick, and you're going to start on something that you don't want to finish. So definitely think about who that audience is and why it's so important for you to get that story out.
Mm-hmm. Well, oh my God, Cori, you were an amazing guest. I love having you here. I cannot wait to see you inside the magazine as well. You gave so much knowledge and so much to everybody. I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. This was wonderful.
Thanks for being here, and let us know when it turns into a movie, because I can't wait to hear all about it and be at the premiere.
I will do that.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.